get more now from Matthieu Cognac, an International Labour Organization specialist who joins us live now from New York. Hi, Matthieu. Thanks so much for speaking with us. Give us first a little more perspective on how serious the situation is now, and is there any level of confidence that something can be done quickly to limit the damage?
Well, it is an extremely serious crisis. As you know, it started as a health crisis. It still is a health crisis, but it's quickly become an economic and labor market crisis. And at the heart of this is really an unemployment crisis, which really will exceed the effects of the crisis we have known in 2008 and 2009. Back then, we were looking at 22 million people globally, and now we are discussing much larger figures. And as you, I think, pointed out, we're looking particularly at those who live in the most vulnerable situations, the 1.6 billion people in the informal economy. That's 76% of the informal employment worldwide. And so this is a situation where the economic recession seems very likely. And what we have to do is to act fast, not to turn this crisis into the depression that we knew in the 1930s.
Act fast how? What are your recommendations for governments?
Well, there are different things that can be done, but really, first we need to think of those workers. We're talking about the 1.6 billion, but really all workers. We need to make sure that when we open up the countries again, they can go back and work safely. So we need to have the right occupational safety and health measures in place. We need to make sure that the working arrangements are made so that they can come back safely, and also that they feel secured by having access to paid leave, and that also we fight the discrimination and the exclusion that concerns those workers is very important. So we need to protect the workers. At the same time that we need to protect those workers, we need to be able to stimulate the economic and the labor demand. And so for that, we need to see that we have the right active fiscal policies in place, the right monetary policies, as well as the lending and financial support to some specific sectors that are particularly hit by this tragedy, really, I would say, including the health sector. We also need to support employment and incomes, thinking about all of those millions of workers who are losing their jobs every day. And so we need to make sure that, and it is the right opportunity for all governments, but in consultation with workers and with employers' organizations, to see that we can extend social protection to everyone, that we can have the measures to protect employment. I'm thinking here of short-time work, paid leave, and so on. And also that we think of those MSMEs, the micro, small, and medium enterprises, with the right tax relief and financial relief to them.
It's interesting, though, Matthieu, you mentioned there fighting the discrimination and exclusion that could result from this crisis. You know, a lot of governments, this is a time where some of them might look for scapegoats because it is hard, arguably, to take responsibility for their own failings. So what do you expect governments now to realistically do to prevent the longer-term damage?
Well, all those measures that I mentioned are very important. Protect the workers, stimulate the economic and the labor demand, support employment and incomes. We also need to look at using social dialogue in a way that we haven't seen before, to increase the level at which the governments, the workers, and the employers sit together around the table to find the right solutions. And in the midst of all that, because we are in such a crisis, we need to make sure that people's rights are respected, that the minimum wages are respected, and that they have access to social protection. These are very, very important measures.
Right. Use of dialogue, very important. Where, though, are you seeing, and I stress where are you seeing, the most severe damage, and how could that manifest short term? I mean, should the international community be preparing even, for more deliveries of food aid? Because it's expected with this crisis that many people won't be able to afford food.
Well, you're absolutely right. Many people won't be able to afford food. Many people will just be struggling to survive, and it's unfortunately already the case. So this is a global crisis. It hits rich countries and poor countries alike. We need to look at everywhere at the same time. But of course, we need to have the particular focus to those most vulnerable, to those who live in conditions of working poverty and informality around the world. And I'm thinking particularly of those who live in Africa and in Latin America, where the informality is particularly pervasive. up to 81%. So these are already some geographic areas that we can focus on. We also have to focus on all of those millions of enterprises that are hardest hit. Those who are working in sectors, for example, small restaurants and other sectors that are very, very much hit, and all of the workers behind those companies, the 47 million employers who represent about 54% of all employers worldwide and who are in these hardest hit sectors. We need to look at those sectors. I was mentioning food services, accommodations, hotels, as well as, wholesale, retail, trade, real estate, and a number of other sectors. So we need to focus on the right sectors as well.
Okay, Matthieu Cognac, thank you so much for joining us there from New York. We greatly appreciate it.